Hello, coders. This is Mr. Tauser, also known as Mr. T, and this is the going to be the first video of a series of videos about how to make a game in Scratch that's called Cheese Chase. And I'm not sure how many videos it's going to take. I'm guessing about 4. So just so you know that going in, I'm going to try to make these videos a little bit shorter than the videos I made for Star Chaser. So since they're going to be a little shorter, it's going to take a little longer. This is a kind of involved game. So the game Cheese Chase, I made it. Here, I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is the game I made. And then I'm going to, after I show you it, we're going to see, I'm going to walk through the steps. We're going to make a separate game. But this game here is the one I made. I'm going to put a link to it in with this video, so you should be able to access it. So you start the game, you click the green button, and you can hear the music start. And basically, I am moving my mouse by using the up-down keys and trying to get to the cheese. Everybody see the cheese over there? And that butterfly, if the butterfly touches me, it ends the game. If the beetles touch me, it ends the game. I want to get where I can actually get to the cheese. It's not being very helpful. So when I hit the cheese, I get 10 points and the cheese moves. Now you'll notice I can't go through the walls, so I have to go around the walls. It's kind of a complex game.
Hey.
Music you can hear, so I'm getting pretty good at this. I'm getting a little better at this, but it's harder than the game we did last time was. And I'm going to let somebody catch me here so I can stop the game. Come on, beetle.
Hey.
There. So when the beetle hits me, then the game over sign comes. That's the general gist of how this game works. Okay? It's called Cheese Chase. And it took me a pretty good while to make it. I think I probably spent close to 2 hours creating this game in Scratch. So again, I'm going to make some videos to explain how it works after this one. This is part 1. So the first thing we're going to do here, I'm in Scratch, and this is my stuff page, but I'm going to create. And the one I just made is called Cheese Chase. So when I create, it's going to create a project, loading extensions, and the first thing I want to do is I want to rename it. I don't want it to be Untitled. It's just going to be Cheese Chase, for me, Cheese Chase 2. And that's going to be the name of this game. Okay, so the 3 things we're going to do today during this video is, first, I'm going to create a mouse, and we're going to make it so the mouse can move with the by using the up-down keys on my keyboard. Okay, this is a keyboard game. Second thing is we're going to create I'm going to show you how in the costume section I'm going to create the cheese, and then we're going to make it so the mouse catches the cheese, and how that and we're going to make it so it keeps score. So you get 10 points every time you catch the cheese. We're going to get the cheese to move. Okay, so we're going to start. First of all, I don't need the cat. There's no cat involved in this game. So I'm going to go to the Sprite section there. In case you didn't see what I just did, I'm going to do it again. We find that cat. Okay, when you open up Scratch, as a default, the cat is there in the Sprite section. The cat is sort of the logo of Scratch, I think. So it's going to be there, but we don't need it today. So we're going to go to the Sprite section. We're going to exit out. We don't need the cat. Okay, so but we do need, ironically, a mouse. So we're going to go to the Sprite section, and we got to go in here and find the mouse. Where is that mouse? There's a Monet, there's a monkey, there's a muffin, there's a mouse. So I'm going to click on the mouse, and so now we have a sprite that's a mouse. Okay, and the first thing I need to be able to do, see if I look at my game, there's the mouse. He's there. And just to clarify, if I click the green button, nothing happens, because I haven't told the mouse to do anything. There's nothing in the in the all that's there is we have a mouse. I haven't given any code, haven't told it to do anything. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to just write a little code here that tells it what to do. And I'm going to go first to the event section right here, events. And if you did the last game with me, Star Chaser, you know that we use the green flag is click button quite a bit. And all that means is you're telling this sprite, the mouse sprite, hey, when the green flag is clicked, this green flag, you're going to do this. So we're going to click on the control section, and I need a forever block. Use a forever block a lot. That just tells the sprite you keep doing it. You keep looping and doing it over and over again. So what I want this mouse to do is if I'm going to sensing, what I want to do first, I want to make it so if I click the up button, the mouse is going to go up a little ways. So it's like this. I click sensing because I want to say touching. No, I don't need touching. I need key space. Key. What key is going to be pressed? And you know what? I need to do something else first because I need to use the if-then block right here. Okay, we used if-then a little bit on the last game too. We're going to use it a lot for this game. So if I push the up key, if I push the up arrow, then I want the mouse to do something. Here's what I want to do. I want to point up. So if you're thinking of a circle, okay, you got to think a little bit about how a circle works. But if you click direction, let me look here. Motion. Okay, I go to the motion, and if I point the mouse in a certain direction, if I point that it's going to be at 0, it's going to do, you can even see there in the picture, 0 is like that. 0 means it's going to point up. If I put in 90, it's going to point to the right. If I put in 180 degrees, this is degrees. Okay, so if I put in 180 degrees, it's going to point down. Okay, when you've studied the circles in geometry class, if I do 270 degrees, it's going to point this way. But if I do, I wonder what happens if I do 360. 360 is back there. 360 and 0 are the same when it comes to a circle. But for this mouse, I want to say when the up arrow is pressed, I want the mouse to point up, and then I want to move in that direction. I'm going to have it move 5 steps. Okay? So I'm going to save that. Remember, when you're Scratch, every once in a while, just go save your project because it doesn't save itself. All right, so now we've got that in. And so what should happen is if I push the up arrow, which I'm going to do right now, you can see that it's not doing what I want it to do. Hold on, why is it not doing that? Up arrow pushed. Well, move 5 steps. Oh, there it did it. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, let me do it here with stop. We're going to get the game to go again. Huh. Let's stop the game. We're going to start again. Why is it doesn't reset? I'm going to refresh here and just get the game going again. I think my Wi-Fi is acting a little weird. So here's the start of the game. Okay, and open full screen so you can see it. If I push the up arrow, the mouse goes up 1, goes up 2, goes up 3. Stop the game. The mouse, oh yeah, it doesn't. Okay, so when I do it again, it does like that. So we can see the mouse is going up when I do that. So I'm going to stop the game, and I'm going to do this. Now, I did that to get the mouse to go up. I put in this. If key up arrow pressed, point in direction 0, move 5 steps. I need to do that again to get the mouse to move to the right. Okay, so I need to use this if then again, and this time it's going to be if the key space, let's see, the right arrow is pushed, then I want to have the mouse point in direction 90, because remember 90 means it's going to go to the right, and again I want to move 5 steps in that direction. Whoops, not 55, 5 steps. Okay, so I want to save that, and we're going to go back to the full screen. Let's see what happens here. It's going there. I'm not really sure why it's not resetting. That's interesting, but we'll figure that out in a little bit. So we got that, and now I've got it. So I've got this one makes the mouse go straight up. This one makes the mouse go to the right. Now I want to go down, so I say Control then if the key space pressed, I want to say if the down arrow is pressed, again we're going to go to the motion and find this point in direction, and this time I want the mouse to go straight down, right? And if you wanted, you could make the mouse go at angles too, but we're just going to go in straight lines. But here it's going 180, so that means it's going to go down, and it's going to move again 5 steps. Okay, and we got one more to do, and that is if the left arrow this time is pressed, that means if I push the left arrow on my keyboard, then I want the mouse to go back to motion. I want to point in direction. This time I want to get it so it goes to the left, and that is, as we said before, it's actually negative 90, minus 90, or you could put in 270. Either one would work, but it's negative 90, and I want it to move 5 steps again. I want to show you again how I got to this particular direction. But you can use this. You can use this little the clock, the thing that looks like a clock. That's shows you 360 degrees of a circle. All right, and we're going to get it. It's negative 90 degrees. It means that the mouse is going to turn that way. So we got the 4 directions the mouse can go. We're going to open this up, and I don't know why the mouse isn't resetting for me. That's odd. Huh. It's not fully registering here. That's interesting. I'm going to stop this. You know what I'm going to try here while we're on the air? While I'm recording, I'm going to try something here, because sometimes your account might just get a little wonky, or it's not hooking up right with your Wi-Fi. I'm going to sign out of my account and sign back in. Okay, we're going to sign back in. I'm back in. I'm going to open up my stuff, and we see Cheese Chase 2. And I'm going to go to, let's see what happens if I... There. Now if I'm pushing the down button, the mouse is going down. If I push the left button, why is the left button not working? Huh. Well, I get to do some debugging here. My left arrow is not working because, I'm going to tell you why. Because I didn't put it in the right spot, I think. Yes, that's right. All right, what I did there was the left arrow I put in the wrong place. It has to go actually at the bottom of this move key. I think that's more correct. It should look like this. I've got when clicked forever. If the key up arrow is pressed, we're going to go 0, which we saw was up, 5 steps. If the right arrow is pressed, we're going to point to the right and go 5 steps. If the down arrow is pressed, we're going to point down and 5 steps. If the left arrow is pressed, we're going to go to the left and go 5 steps. I think I have the I still think that's not right. Okay, if you look here, I actually need to put this block all the way at the bottom here. It should be, you can see how it's kind of, they're all these four if-then blocks are now aligned properly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to save that. Now we're going to open it, and let's see what happens. If I go try to go left, I go up, I go down, I go there. Okay, cool. Now, still, I think this is an issue with my keyboard more than anything, to be honest with you. Key up arrow, key right arrow, key down arrow, and somehow that got erased. So I got to do it again. I got the up arrow, I got right arrow, I got down arrow. I need one more if then. What happened to that? So I need if then there. If the down arrow is pressed, left arrow is pressed, I need to do this again. I'm not sure what happened to my block there. It was there. I saw it. But that's part of debugging. You have to go find what's going on. We're going to point in this direction. I want it to go to the left. So the mouse is going to go that direction at negative 90 degrees. And then it's going to move 5 steps. Okay? So there's that. Let's save that and see what happens with this game now when it's going left, it's going up, it's going down, it's going right, going left, going right. As I push those 4 buttons, I can make the mouse move however I want it to move. Okay? So that part is done for the moment. One other thing. We're going to leave it like that. That's good. We'll stop the mouse. We're going to go here. We can have him move around just to push the green arrow, and so I can have the mouse moving all over the place. He's cruising. Okay, we got to control the mouse. All right. So we've done control the mouse with these blocks here. These 4. I got all 4 within the forever block, but it's a if-then. If up arrow is pressed, it goes up. If the right arrow is pressed, it goes right. If the down arrow is pressed, it goes down. If the left arrow is pressed, it goes left. That's what our mouse does. One thing the book I'm using does is they change the name of the mouse and call it something else. I'm just going to leave it as mouse 1. That's fine. All right. Next thing I need to do is next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to create your own customized sprite. Okay, let me look at something real quick. I'm seeing how we're doing on time. Okay, we're going to create the customized sprite, and to do that, I go to the sprite section here where it says choose a sprite, and I'm going to paint. All right, so if I push paint, it's going to show me this screen, and this is where we're going to draw the cheese that the mouse is trying to catch. Okay, and one thing it tells me that you have to do when you're doing this is you want to convert, where it says convert to bitmap right here, you're going to convert to that. It's going to make it work better. Okay, and for this, all we're going to do is I'm going to use this line, and I'm going to draw a piece of cheese. And you know what? Having it be purple is not what I'm wanting. I don't want purple cheese. That's kind of weird. So I'm going to back up and start over. For my color, we're going to go more yellow because cheese tends to be yellow usually, right? Let's go back to this. We're going to draw some cheese, and it's going to be kind of like this. And the example of cheese that is shown in my book shows it with like little curves in it, but I'm just going to do straight old cheese because you know what, my drawing skills are not very good. I'm not Mr. Juarez, the art teacher at our school, by any stretch of the imagination. So we're just going to draw it like that. That looks kind of like cheese. So I did that just with the lines. Now, Another thing I can do is I can fill the cheese with the same color. So now I can fill that and I can fill that. Okay. Now you can play with it a little more. Maybe have black lines here to make it look more like cheese than you'd like. But for our purposes, this is our cheese. Okay. And that's how our cheese is going to be. So we got to give it some code. So that was in the costumes, the costumes tab, right? But I want to have a some code to tell this cheese kind of what to do. And again, for that we go to events and we find when clicked. Okay, and we're going to use our forever thing again. So this can happen forever. When clicked forever, we're going to go to, and we're going to design this to go to a random spot. Okay, and to do that, what you have to do is you go to the motion. And you see this block here says go to X 36 and Y 28. That's the block we're going to use. And what these numbers are, the X is what's called the X-axis, which if you imagine there's a line right here on your screen, that's the X-axis, and you start up here, I think it's about 150, 160 is, I'm sorry, this is the Y-axis that goes up and down. The vertical axis is the Y-axis, and it goes from 160, and in the middle is 0, and then it goes all the way to negative 160. And then this axis here is what's called the X-axis, the horizontal axis, and it goes from negative 220, the middle is 0, and over here's 220. Okay, so what we're going to tell this cheese is that it's going to go to a random spot as we move through the game. Okay, here's what it looks like right now. There's my cheese. It's not attractive cheese, I'll admit that. All right, but to get the cheese to move to random places, I need to go to the operators blocks. And see this block here says pick random. Instead of using a set number, I'm going to use, this is a function in Scratch where you can make the cheese go to pick a random spot on the X-axis and a random spot on the Y-axis. And so I put this in here. That's my X-axis, and my X-axis goes from negative 220 to positive 220. Okay. And then my Y-axis is going to be the same thing. Let me get this other block I picked here. The Y-axis can be the same thing. I got to scroll over a little bit, but it's from negative 160 to positive 160. And what that means is whenever the cheese moves, it's going to go to a random spot. It's going to pick, the program is going to pick some number between 220 and negative 220. So it's going to go somewhere here, and then it's going to pick a random number between 160 and negative 160, and there. So it's going to, the center of the cheese is going to go somewhere on the screen. Okay, but next thing I want to do is I want to wait, because once it goes somewhere as part of the game, we're going to wait until, and this is all within the forever block. Okay, it's going to wait until, and now basically what's going to happen is when the mouse touches it, the cheese is going to move. So I want to say wait until touching something, and in this case I want to say touching the mouse 1, and then to show that something happened, we're going to have the sound pop. I went to the sound block, and there's start sound pop. Okay, so it's like this. I'm going to save it. I'm going to show you what I just did here. Okay, so we start the game, and you see the cheese went to a random place, right? And now the mouse, I'm moving him with my buttons like we planned, and if I hit the cheese, it's going to move. Okay. And just like that. All right. And so the essence of this game is we're going to set it up where the cheese, every time the mouse touches it, it moves. Okay, we're gonna set it up next time where the mouse gets points when it catches the cheese. But the next thing I want to do, because this cheese is pretty big, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go to the look section here, and I'm going to set the size. See where it says set the size? Okay, if it's 100%, it's going to be this size. This mouse, excuse me, this cheese is read at 100%. But if I click in here, I say, you know, when the green flag is clicked, I want the cheese to become smaller. It doesn't need to be that big. So I'm going to say, you know what, let's make it 50%. So it's going to go half size. Let's stop there. Okay, so let's go back to the big screen. You'll see when I've clicked the green, see the cheese is smaller. It still does the same thing. It goes to a random spot. Okay, so like that. Just like that. Okay, I can make the mouse smaller too if I want to, and I may further down the line. Let me double check here. Yeah, it's probably long enough. Okay, so for this session, session 1, all right, that's all we're going to do right now. It gives you plenty to work on. Remember what we did? First of all, we opened a project, and we named it Cheese Chase 2. You don't need to name it 2 on yours, but remember I had one already, so this is so I can tell them apart in my account. But I created a mouse, and we made it so when I click the green button, any time I push the up arrow, it's going to go up, right arrow, it's going to go right, down arrow, it's going to go down, left arrow, it's going to go left arrow, it's going to go left. And then the sprite, when we use the costume to make this cheese. And I'll admit, my cheese is not very pretty, but we know it's cheese. If you're good at art, you can make your cheese look a lot better in there, okay? But I also set it up so the cheese goes to a random location on the screen between 220 and negative 220 on the y-axis, on the x-axis, and between 160 and negative 160 on the x-axis. Okay, and then when the mouse touches the cheese, the pop sound happens, and it starts again, and it moves again. All right, and I also set the cheese to 50% size. All right, so having said that, we're going to stop the project, and with that, I am going to stop in here in a moment. I'm going to stop recording. Okay, part 2, we're going to definitely show you how to start keeping score. We're going to add an enemy that floats around and tries to catch the mouse while he's chasing cheese. And I think that's all we're going to do in part 2. But for now, it's part 1. Also, look in the description of this project. You can a description of this video. You'll be able to see a link to my completed cheese chase game, so you can see what we're working for. And if you want to try to go beyond what I just did now, that's fine, or you can wait till I make the next video, which I'll hopefully do in the next couple days. With that, I'm going to stop recording. Hey, I appreciate y'all watching, and check out my other coding videos if you haven't seen them yet, and feel free to leave links to your projects in the comments. That'd be great. I'd like to see them. That's it. Hope you have a good rest of the day.